Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? We've got an exciting show for you. It's so exciting that in the future, the artificially life-sustained version of Ken Burns might make a documentary about this episode.
Right.
This will be impactful.
As long as he's not an outlier.
Right. He might be. In which case, in the future, Ken Burns is the man in black.
Begin writing prompt.
I love we're right into Westworld. I love the Westworld because the way she writes in Westworld, of course she's writing what she thinks is basically for a video game, but I'm like, that's where it's going. That's what we want with AI. We want to sit down and be like, okay, little girl and old man in the city. No, not that young.
Right.
And just describe a whole scene and have it just kind of generate. Yeah, that's where we're going. Hey, Savannah, what's going on? I hope you're excited, Savannah. We should probably get to our featured topic sooner than later.
Yeah.
A few things we'll talk about this episode. Westworld. We'll probably mention that because we're caught up on that currently. And I'll just say Melanie professed her love for Westworld this last episode.
I did.
Sorry, I'm going to turn. Oh, I can't turn up Melanie up too much more. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll sit with my face all up on the mic. How's that?
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Melanie and I also watched. We went to the movies, even though I've been busy. We made a point. Although I was stressed, it probably wasn't super fun for Melanie. We did a thing. We left the house Tuesday night, and we went to the movies, and we watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh.
It was, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, finally, if you know what, if you support us on Patreon, you can pull the strings. I have one request, though, about pulling the strings. Keep it maybe like within the Grawlix wheelhouse, but nonetheless, you get to pull the strings like Savannah does because she's a supporter at the cat dancing tier. Shout out to Savannah. And she has been hounding us to talk about some Ken Burns. So we're going to talk about some Ken Burns tonight.
We are.
Savannah says leaving the house is overrated. I mean, you're not wrong.
Right.
But movie theaters have movie theater popcorn.
It's
true.
also true. So, Ken Burns. You know what the problem with Ken Burns is?
What?
He does docu-mini-series. That's what's wrong with Ken Burns.
That, honestly, it is. We would have gotten to this, I think, a lot sooner if, every time, okay, well, what Ken Burns can we watch? And it's like, oh, that's a mini-series. It's 5 to 6 hours long. No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Also, there's other things we're going to talk about this episode. Jesse's been watching Paper Girls, and I'm keen to hear that. And I know Jesse is also, I'm speaking for you now, has also watched Thor, Love and Thunder.
I have. I've seen Thor and Love and Thunder, and I'm all caught up on Westworld. So, yeah.
But
That stuff.
Savannah's an early bird? Whatever. She usually bounces fairly early, so let's get to Ken Burns. We did something...
This is your burn notice.
Oh. Jesse, where's your glasses, she asks.
I don't know.
She's like, it's not Jesse.
It's not. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
We've had that problem in the
Some
past.
type
Or
of
have
problem.
we?
Jesse?
Weird.
Might result in technically derailing the entire format of the show for 3 years, but whatever.
Right. That would be weird.
Yeah. So, yes, Ken Burns miniseries. But I discovered something kind of interesting that I was like, this might work. This might work. This might satiate Savannah's Ken Burns appetite. So, if you go to, I'm going to put it on this other screen, and I'll share my screen. PBS.org. That's another thing. Savannah, where do you watch all these Ken Burns things? Probably on PBS.
She might have the PBS channel on Amazon.com because that is how I watched the Ken Burns Mark Twain documentary.
Okay.
Because there was like a 7-day trial, so I partook of the trial.
Well, here's what I did. I discovered on PBS.org they have this thing. Okay, well, too late. I'm never going to that now. Because I discovered this. And I think this is actually a super interesting novel idea. The PBS.org Ken Burns Enum thing, or Unum, UNUM. I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. But, oh, well, is it PBS everywhere? Or would it be something else? Because it does say, no, yeah, if you log it, if you're there from another, like, state, it probably has your state up there, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It will ask you, like, is this your channel?
Yeah, that's
Right.
what it did for me, yeah.
Okay. Well, this is interesting because since Ken Burns has been making documentaries for 40 years, they did this kind of cool thing where they were able to, like, he has a big, long introduction about it. But yeah, explore American history through scenes selected from across over 40 films, which spans about 40 years. But basically, like, you know, he's done enough movies to where they're like, well, we want to explore this specific topic of American history, and they could be like, well, it's related to this clip from this movie, and this from this movie, and this from this movie, and they're able to, like, kind of, it's like a Ken Burns remix in a sense.
Yeah.
Like they can explore new stories or, like, themes by like grabbing different sections from movies, and I thought that was super interesting.
It's like a fancier version of Wikipedia too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just going to search for, like, what I did was I was like, well, what's the closest thing to Grawlix? Literature. Like, first I did comics. They had nothing on comics. And then I was like, literature. And then I found, like, you know, Mark Twain. I was like, ooh. So I did. I watched a couple of the Mark Twain clips that they had on there. And, man, what was it? This pertains. The clip on Mark Twain that I watched was talking about the two personas of Sam Clemens and Mark Twain, and referred to it as, like, this puppet that that he could just use to, like, bring this character to life. I think it was the clip on Huckleberry Finn, and then I was like, that's it, I gotta watch this thing. But if you guys are going to watch the Mark Twain one, it's 2 episodes long, and I recommend just stopping at the end of the first one, because
Really?
the second one, he gets super famous, and everybody dies, including him.
Stop
Weird.
when it's no.
Stop when he writes Huck Finn. Just stop right there.
I don't want to get into it, but I recently watched a series. I watched 3 episodes of the series, right? And after the third season, I'm sorry, I watched 3 seasons of the series. After the 3rd season, like, it kind of broke me, and I was like, I should have stopped at the end of the 1st season when everything was happy and they didn't know the show was coming back, so they, like, give it a happy ending.
Was it Breaking Bad?
No. But it was Afterlife, by the way, if you're curious. Ricky Gervais is a Netflix
Gotcha.
series. Pretty good. It's a bummer, but that's not what
I was
we're
to
talking
say, have you listened to any of Ricky Gervais's stand-up? Because
Well, no,
dude gets dark.
we actually watched a recent one not long ago, and I loved it. It's like he's such a troll, and he enjoys it. Like, he gets such enjoyment out of, like, saying things he shouldn't. We don't have to get into that whole thing, but you know, it's kind of like how Dave Chappelle used to, until he actually would get mad about things and just complains. Ricky Gervais is still in that, like, I'm going to say things that make people mad and then laugh because he's a troll and he's enjoyable and he's enjoying doing that. Whatever.
Savannah says that we're nerds. We're getting excited about Ken Burns.
That's why we're talking about Ricky Gervais. So,
What did you look at, Randy, in there?
I looked through communication and some art, and so these are kind of interesting, right? So you click a theme, I'm reviewing the website. This works much better. I feel like this was definitely developed for mobile in mind.
Yeah, it was.
Which initially I was kind of like, I want to watch it on TV, and it's not really set up very well for that. But it's interesting because, like, say you click here, I click communication. They've got a bunch of info. You scroll down, more info about stuff, and it just kind of like, I think, is this an actual? Okay, it's got an introduction. A lot of them actually have an introduction by Ken Burns. Like, there's little clips of Ken Burns talking in between stuff. More info. It'll actually where does I feel like it's like in a slightly different order than when I looked last.
If you slide on the left side too, there should be like little notches or something, and then you can jump around to different sections if you don't want to watch
Right.
through all of it. And I found that helpful just because I watched some of what I watched the one on innovation, and I was crunched for time a little bit, so I watched some of it in the shower, and I didn't hear everything, so I had to go back. So that was nice.
Because there's like clips. I think on some of them there's like podcast little like snippets of like basically what would be a podcast. Like, it's just kind of an interesting mixed media thing, built around these things.
Yeah.
I feel like,
And it's nice when you don't have 5 or 7 or 12 hours to give to a topic.
right. Yeah. So, what stuff did you watch, Melanie?
It was the one on innovation. I don't really remember what all it talked about. A lot of the different things like the Brooklyn Bridge and Lewis and Clark, and just lots of stuff.
How about Mark Twain, Jesse? Yeah, you already talked about Mark Twain.
I could get into it. It was really good. Like the way that it's all like parsed out and whatnot. And they have like different people talking about Mark Twain, and then they even have like an actor that would like read Mark Twain's like his quotes in his voice kind of thing. But it it was a pretty good one. I don't know. It is heady. I think it was 2 episodes, and it was like maybe two and a half hours per episode. So like when I say that when I get done with the first episode, I'm like, yeah, I could stop there because I've been watching for 2.5 hours. But also it's like, it's a good break. It's like, this is when he did his most poignant work and whatnot. And then it's like, well, but what happens next? Spoilers. It's super depressing.
Okay, this is the one I was looking through earlier. It's the art one, and it's laid out a little bit more like I was expecting. I swear the communication one seemed different. I don't know. Maybe it was just formatted different on the phone. But this one's interesting because it's got Ken Burns talking between.
Hey, you know what's funny? Sorry. Mine started with jazz and the Brooklyn Bridge too, and then this one does also. That's interesting. That art and innovation both start with the same
Right.
topics.
That masterpiece one that you just scrolled past was the one that hooked me, where I was like, okay, gotta watch it. Talks about puppets.
Man, I had a weird time in my childhood. I got a little obsessed with Mark Twain. Not necessarily like his books, but like him. I had to like study a bunch of background, and it was all because like I read a book where Mark Twain and Samuel Clemens were both characters, and I was like, what? And so yeah. But anyway.
Have you guys? What was it? The Mysterious Traveler. Have you ever seen the Mark Twain Mysterious Traveler claymation? So like, I keep comparing him to George Carlin in my brain because he's very George Carlin-esque in that at a tipping point he gets super angry, and so then he writes The Mysterious Traveler, and it's like this super like almost indictment of religion kind of thing. And there is a claymation, and it is the weirdest, creepiest thing. You can probably find it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's called Mark Twain, The Mysterious Traveler, and it's all stop motion claymation, and there's even gifs out there of it. It's super like bizarre and creepy, and it's like, man, Mark Twain was on some dark stuff there.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, not Mark Twain, but we're talking about Savannah stuff, and there are some commercials from Jim Henson, coffee commercials.
Oh yeah, his coffee commercials. Yeah,
They're so good. We stumbled across that last night on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And watched them.
they're so dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
They're great. I don't know if true, but according to several of the comments, of course, I only get my information from YouTube comment sections. That's reliable. But apparently he was not a coffee drinker, and so people suspect like part of the reason, like the whole premise is this, like it's almost like a proto Kermit character.
Yeah.
Is like pro coffee, and it like escalates to wherever he's like shooting the other guy, blowing him with a cannon, exploding him, like but the other guy's like, I don't like this coffee, and so people are like,
He straight up shoots him, doesn't he? Like he straight up shoots a man.
Shoots him.
Shoots him, stabs him, pushes him off a building.
Yeah.
Usually with some pun. It's really good. Like it's interesting because I don't know. You'd expect the humor to feel kind of dated. No, it's just dark humor, and it's timeless. But they suspect people were saying that he probably like come up with that because he's tired of people pushing coffee at him all the time. He doesn't like coffee, so I guess in that thing it's like, I don't know, exaggerating the people who are like, you don't drink coffee.
Yeah, Savannah, it's Jim Henson.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to play any video clips. Even that, I'm sure that's not going to get me copyright strike. But Melanie will share a link with you later.
I will. It's because he's so slow, I think. He's like, you can't give me coffee and make me speed up. I'm going to be slow and deliberate the way I am.
Right. So anyway, I feel like that was our Ken Burns talk.
Yep. He's great. He did a lot of great stuff. Go check it out.
I mean, yeah, you look at that website for sure, because good luck not finding a clip that you will dig in on. I had no intention of watching almost 5 hours of Mark Twain, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
I had no intention, and I didn't. I listen. This was interesting. I was so glad I found that little website, because I'm like, this is for the modern man. I got no attention span for this stuff. This is great. So
is it like the TikTok of Ken Burns?
Oh, there you go. That's a better metaphor. Yeah.
Yes, it's the TikTok of Ken Burns. Unum. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that.
That sounds right to me.
Savannah says she's watched all of those.
Yeah, you like to learn, and that's great.
I'm not thrilled. Never mind. I'm not thrilled about American history. Man, it just depends. I really got to be into a thing, or maybe just the right mindset. American history is so hit or miss with me. Obviously, there's certain things that are interesting, and a lot of it, though, there's things where I'm like, yeah, I know, I've heard of this. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
That's because when we sit down to watch YouTube, you're like, I don't want to learn anything. And I'm like, fine, you pick then.
Even space stuff. Melody's like, this is about space. Okay, I'm just going to eat my chips and cheese. Chips and cheese. That's every part of the food pyramid.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Vegetables and dairy. That's all you need.
Vegetables and dairy. That's more like a column and less of a pyramid, but
I'm not greedy.
You need at least 3 things to make a pyramid.
Carbonated
There's fat
water.
in there, I think.
Carbonated water, not even in the pyramid. It's just a thing you need to survive.
That's important. It should be in the pyramid.
It should be, yeah.
That should be the central pillar. Pyramids have pillars, right?
Maybe it's a pyramid that's floating on water.
Ooh.
Like the Illuminati.
Yes.
Was that a segue to something I'm not catching?
No.
Okay. No. Okay, good. What else are we going to talk about? Hey, let's do Westworld.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. They float on water,
Savannah.
right?
Brooklyn Bridge, Mark Twain, jazz, basketball. Yeah, that's why I was super excited for all this. Those things are so fascinating to me. I'm sorry for the shade. I got you, though. Inflatable pyramids. Yes.
You know, you could buy an inflatable, like, party float, but it's like $400. Otherwise, that'd be pretty awesome just to, like, blow up a float and then, like, go float in party. You know? Never mind.
Then you could be like, we all float down here.
Yes, you could.
Ooh, that party got weird.
So we were watching Westworld, and I can tell you, I'll speak for Melanie.
Mm-hmm.
She's digging it.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think of the season so far, Jesse? Did we ever really talk much about the third season? I don't remember your opinion on
It
the
was
third season.
such a weird season. I feel like we had to, right? It was
Yeah, I
Westworld.
think so.
I don't think we would just skip it, but
No, I think we did.
it was really bizarre because most of it didn't take place on the park at all. I think the only bits that did take place on the park had to do with Bernard going back there for whatever reason, or in flashback form. And this feels like a return to form for me a little bit. It's kind of bizarre because it's flipping everything on its side, and I didn't know how to feel about the flies. Like the flies are a really like bizarre thing.
Yeah. I think that's how you were supposed to feel about him, right there.
Right,
You're supposed
right.
to be like, ugh.
I think when Melanie and I talked about it before, we were only maybe at 2 episodes in or something, and we hadn't got to the twist, right? There's always the big twist, and it's almost always a time-related thing to where it's like,
Right.
it's not like they're time traveling. They're just showing you things out of order so that you
Yeah.
don't really have a grasp on what's happening till later. But I really liked the flashback reveal this season.
Yeah.
And I feel like last time we talked about it, I was like, I don't know how they're getting. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're doing a flashback thing this season.
Right. Yeah.
I was so wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I loved what they did with Bernard, too. It's so
man.
much fun, and it's great for his character. Like, his character's perfect for that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's super cool. Well, Melanie and I were talking about the show, like the direction of the show, and I feel like I remember, like, I liked the third season, but the third season I feel like was such a gamble for them, and it worked out okay. But I think getting to this season, it's like, okay, I think that gamble really paid off. And at this point, when they do go back to the park, you know, so to speak, it's a little bit different. But like at this point, it's almost been long enough since the first season that there's a ton of just like fan nods and stuff playing on. Like, remember the Westworld park from the first season? It's like that, but different.
Right. The one thing that's, I mean, I'm sure it's just coming up, and this will sound silly in a couple of episodes, but it's like Dolores is just like, I don't completely understand what's going on with her. I believe that she's 2 people, and she's been 2 people for a while, right?
Right.
That happened in 2 and 3, basically, right?
Well, what's essentially the big bad is also a Dolores.
Right.
Because I think
Yeah.
in season 3 there was like maybe just 2, but it felt like 3 Doloreses at running around.
I think there were 3, but it confuses me, too, because they call her Hale all the time. And I'm like, but
Right.
that might be Hale's body type, but I'm pretty sure that it was one of the Doloreses.
No, yeah, there were 3 because I want to say there were 2 Hales, and one of them burned up in a car or something towards the end of the 3rd season. But the one that's still around, that's a Hale or whatever, it was the Cutter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what the deal with the current Dolores is.
Yeah.
Like
I'm actually very confused about a few of the hosts or whatever. All right, but I thought once their head ball got destroyed, they were just gone. But they're still here, a couple of them at least.
Yeah, especially what's his name. We still haven't got like the details on why
Is it Teddy?
why
Teddy.
Teddy's kicking around still, because it seemed pretty definitive that he was dead in the first season.
And that one poor girl that I swear they kill her more than anybody. That worked with Maeve at the brothel place. You know that one chick?
Yeah. With the eyes.
Yeah, with the eyes.
She's got really intense eyes. That's the main thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
They made her, oh man, she was so cool towards the end of the first season where she was like basically infected and super cool. But
Yeah.
I feel like she shouldn't be around either.
Makes me suspicious of all of them.
I liked the Jesse Pinkman, that's his name, Jesse Pinkman stuff from this last episode. Which
Is that
in the
Caleb?
future- Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb, okay.
That's his Breaking Bad name. That's what
Gotcha.
Or the Price is Right kid. Whatever you want to call him. I was calling him Jesse while we were watching the show. I was like, what's going on with Jesse?
That's not confusing at all.
Right.
I don't know that I disliked him last season, but I enjoyed his character much, much more this season, so far at least.
Right.
Yeah.
He seemed I wouldn't say blank slate last season, but like beyond his like PTSD kind of thing that he had going on, there wasn't a lot to grab on with him. And now it's like, I don't know, they give him, I guess, the family thing, right? The family.
He almost feels like a
motivation.
different character from the first
Right.
scene we see him in. You know, it's just like, I was like, wait, this guy? He didn't seem like that big of a deal last season.
And I like that. I don't remember him and Maeve actually hanging around that much last season, but I like that there was apparently quite a bit of like, I don't know, I guess
Relationship
building between seasons that we
Yeah.
kind of like. They flash back to some stuff where he had got shot and all that, but I don't know. I like that dynamic. Maeve's just
Me
such
too.
a good character.
Maeve's the best.
Yeah.
They should just make the Maeve and Bernard show, and I'd watch it always.
Right.
Right.
With the plucky sidekick, that one guy. You know. God, what was his name? Stubbs. Whatever. Basically, I would not have expected the like random security guard guy from season 1 to still be
Right.
around, and not like he's a major player, but man, he's kind of one of my favorite characters. At this
He's a
point.
Hemsworth, too, isn't he?
Oh, I bet you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I can see that too.
Like an uncle?
Maybe, yeah.
Nah, he seems like a nephew.
Yeah. It's
I love-
timeless.
I love this last. Yeah, man, the Bernard stuff's so cool. This last episode, there's a bit that really cracked me up. I don't know why, but it's where Bernard's telling the one, the daughter chick of Caleb. By the way, if you haven't seen it, you have no idea what we're talking about. So I guess it doesn't matter. But if you haven't, it's just spoilers everywhere for I don't know
Right.
what we're 5.
Yeah, if you're only a
6
couple
episodes in.
episodes back, then we're telling you new information.
You won't understand until you get there anyway. That's how Westworld works.
That's true.
Yeah.
But he's telling her like about the different like versions, and I feel like she's still not. He's not explaining this to her.
No.
But like he's still like talking about it like just freely.
Yeah.
How like it's different people that are gonna betray her. Like sometimes it's her girlfriend. Sometimes it's what's his name. Sometimes and he's like. And one time it was even Stubbs. Like, I want to know what that scenario was. How was it Stubbs? He's like totally so clueless as to like what's actually happening. And one times it was even Stubbs. One time it was even it was good.
Well, Stubbs has been walking around for like, I don't know, 20 years or something.
That's a good point. That's a good
We don't know what
point.
he's been doing.
He's just been kicking around that dusty
Yeah.
hotel room. Not dusting.
I was going to say, why couldn't he have dusted? Really?
Bernard even like kind of give him shade about that when he woke up.
Yeah. He's like, you said leave it totally undisturbed.
I would take a show. Yeah, I would take a Bernard show. Bernard and Maeve. Because Bernard as he is now, it's so cool. I agree.
What was that scene? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it'll be explained, but like, what was that scene where Bernard is in like the White Room with that one like indigenous character?
That was when he was in the what, their heaven type place or whatever.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
at the
thought.
time when he was hooked up, basically between seasons when he was hooked up to that machine for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that guy was just, which that guy is in lots of stuff lately, which I like. I kind of like that guy. I can't think of what else. I feel like he was, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I feel like he was in Doctor Sleep.
Oh,
Was he in Doctor Sleep, the movie?
I believe he was. Yes.
And several other things.
Was he like a stand-in for the Anthony Hopkins character then, or because he took on kind of that affect a bit?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like he's not an established character,
Right.
but that would make sense. That would make sense because he is kind of like, well, who's this guy? But whatever. He's just a guy there that knows what's going on.
Right.
But he's just kind of like.
If he is, I'm not mad about it. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's, as far as I can tell, he's just there to set up, like, hey, well, I guess info dump for us, as well as Bernard, like, here's what this world's like, or what this place is, this virtual place where it can be, it is their heaven, totally, because, like, everyone can have their own whatever. But also, like, we run simulations here. You can run all these simulations. Plot? Come on.
Well, what else is a computer going to do for fun, you know?
It's true. I mean, that is what they do.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't the guy, didn't he show everybody how, or, like, wasn't he one of the first people that remembered his before lives, and so kind of was leading people to that anyway when he was in the show?
Yeah, maybe. Because he was one of the first people that had the maze, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was
I believe
he?
so.
Oh, man, this is one of those shows where every season I feel like I have to go back and start at the beginning just to like have everything fresh in my mind again.
I think we almost did. Like Holly was like, really close to being like, we should just go back to the beginning and start over. And I was like, no, I want to review this for the show.
Right. It would be a fun series to go. Maybe after season 4, it'd be a fun series to revisit.
I just want to say, if we ever start making people like robots in real life, we're never allowed to make the big white ones that are like people but no faces, because that's creepy as everything. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No, I love it. And I love that, like, it's so interesting. Like, those were around when they were building the first Westworld park or whatever. Yeah. And now, spoilers, we're basically machines have taken over the entire, that's the thing with the huge time jump. It's like, we're fighting against, like, the machine takeover, and then time jump, like, oh no, it's too late. That already happened. Like, humans are basically hosts now. So
it's like a much cleaner version of the Terminator world.
It is. It's
like a sanitized version of, like, this is what happens when machines take over completely.
Mm-hmm. I do enjoy that, like, so the big bad is a machine, right? And she's like, why are my, like, the actual hosts or whatever, why are the other machines, like, they're getting infected by humans, they're killing themselves, why would they do that? And it's, at the same time, she's running around like a raging neurotic mess, and it's like, I wonder why. Seems like you kind of got mental illness problems,
especially if they're all based on your code. Even William kind of says that at one point. He's like, we're all based on your code.
Mm-hmm. You, the cutter one,
your perfectly stable system, it's clear.
Right. She's like the biggest mess of all of them.
And honestly, if her plan is to do what the other hosts did and upload themselves into some sort of perpetual heaven, why is she taking over the world anyway? Doesn't that kind of defeat her whole plan, or her, like, end game?
Yeah, I'm real curious about her, like, because they've touched on a little bit of kind of how their, like, system works, to where basically you get to play a game or whatever, and you can do some stuff, and then eventually you can like choose to. Well, how did they put it?
Transcend or
Basically,
something like that, maybe.
yeah, transcend, and where she's uploading them to somewhere, but not necessarily the same place that all the season 1 Westworld robots and Bernard was at. So I don't know that seems ominous to me, and the fact that they don't really she hasn't really gone into what that exactly is strange. But I do like the idea of like, I don't know, they basically just set up their own Westworld and are kind of bored with it, but it's what they're doing.
And don't wear hats, people.
Right. Or look in the
Yeah.
mirror.
No mirrors and hats now.
Well, good for me. I have a big head, and
Yep.
I don't like the way I look, so.
Whoa.
I was thinking also, darn it, now I lost it. I don't know, never mind, go ahead, go on without me.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on Westworld so far, Jesse?
I mean, it's going in so many different directions that it's like, man, we'll forget about something, and then that could be another 20-minute conversation for all we know. I'm really enjoying it is the bottom line, and I'm curious to see where it's going, and there's only 2 episodes left, and that sounds impossible to me.
Right.
I remember what I was going to say, but it wasn't anything important. It was just, I like shows where people end up with a whole bunch of versions of themselves, and especially when some of them are all messed up.
Oh, the Caleb thing, and
Yeah.
I kind of called that. I don't want to like totally spoil it, but it's like there's a reason he's allowed to get that far every time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that almost right away because I'm like,
like-
wait a minute, why is there just random handprints on this pristine house, but they're going to leave big, bloody, dirty handprints everywhere? I don't think so. And by the way, I wouldn't follow that anyway because obviously I wouldn't be here if the other ones had succeeded, so maybe don't follow the same path the whole way.
Right.
Right, and who set up the thing in the first place?
Yeah, good stuff. It kind of reminded me a little bit, not exactly, but like
Primer.
Primer. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, is it Hellbent? Doctor Who, where he's in the
Oh, when he's in Gallifrey and he's got to do the loop over and over and over
Right.
just to break through the wall, and he's been there for 1 billion years.
47 billion years. And of course, it's Doctor Who, so they push it to like
Right.
ridiculous extremes. But
Right.
just like showing up and then, like there's been other hymns there, and he's kind of following the clues as to like what to do. Jesse, you watched some Thor.
I did. I watched some Thor.
Did you hate it? Was it? I don't even know what the complaints are. Was it too funny, and did it go broke because it went woke?
You know what?
It's okay if you hate it.
I'll give it the same review everybody else has given it. Ragnarok was perfect, so good luck.
Right.
Improving on perfection. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. It was fun, and especially after I kind of got he was like, oh, this is gonna be a Stephen Moffat Thor. I get it.
Right.
And then I was fine. I just had to be like, oh, they're gonna do kind of a, was it Once Upon a Deadpool? They're gonna try to
Right.
just make this a little more, entry level for the kids.
I feel like
It's for the children. Wu-Tang.
Maybe the tone is set a little strangely at the beginning with the opening scene, but after that, I feel like if the tone isn't set for you when Thor does like the jump splits between the two like hover bikes, so they're crashing into each other, and it's basically
right.
just a cartoon.
Right.
I feel like if the tone isn't like set for you, then it's kind of on you.
Yeah. It's like, no, this is where we're going, and you're either coming along or you're not.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, man, it could have maybe used a couple more passes, but
kind of hate the new Thor suit, but as soon as at least he takes the helmet off. Like once he takes the helmet off, I'm like, okay, I don't hate it that much. But they have like three suits. They have basically the Ravager thing where he just looks like he's part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he's got his ultimate Thor suit that he winds up wearing the rest of the movie. But then for just a moment, he has the Odin's son unworthy Thor outfit, and I'm like, that's a cool outfit. He could have wore that for more than one scene.
Right. I mean, they gotta sell toys.
Why isn't there a toy of that one?
Oh, is there not? Well, maybe that wasn't.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe they'll come out with it, but they've got the Jane Foster Thor, they've got the Ravager Thor, and then they got that final outfit of Thor.
Oh, interesting. Huh. I always assume, and I think rightfully so, that like especially like a superhero thing or something where there's like unnecessary costume changes, it's like they just want more toys.
Yep.
But yeah, no. People complained about the goats, like the goat scream meme from 2007. I thought it was funny, man. I thought it was funny every time.
I wish that Thor would have rode one because that's why they're in there. Remember he rode around on one of them in, I think we reviewed it, the Lady Thor. Like he was riding around on that goat.
It's the mighty Thor.
The
No,
mighty Thor.
we do always refer to her as Lady Thor.
Yeah.
Well, it's Lady Sif, so.
Right.
I think they even refer to her as Lady Thor, even though that's not okay in this movie.
So how do you feel about her storyline? Like if I remember right from our thoughts on it in the past, like it was okay, but it felt like it didn't really get as big of a focus as I would have expected.
Right. It was as good as you were going to get cramming it into 2 hours. And in fact, I even blew the final credit scene because I have read the end of Jane Foster Thor's run, and so I know how it ends. And I was like, oh man, you know what they should have done was they should have had the thing where she has to come face to face with Odin, and that whole thing, and then and then we see like the credit scene, and then we see the end credit scene, and I was like, I should have stopped talking. This is practically what happened in the comic books, minus one little twist.
Right. Mm-hmm. I wonder if there's more Thors in line. More movies.
You saw this has happened since we had an episode too. San Diego Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. So the slate of movies for phases 5 and 6.
Oh. Right.
Secret Wars is coming up. And I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but like in the Secret Wars, it basically Doom, and I'm assuming it'll be Kang, or maybe it'll be Doom Kang. I don't know. Basically, is creating a whole stitched battle world thing, and basically there is a core of Thors that are basically the police that go around and police all of Battle Worlds. All the Battle Worlds, or whatever they're called.
That's right. I remember you talking about that now.
I don't think Thor would be a good policeman, honestly.
No.
Not this
Some of
version
them
of
are. Some of them are better, and others are like,
This version and the What If animated series.
Yes.
Thor, they need a party.
For real, for real.
Because, especially in Love and Thunder, he's pretty close to that, like,
he does
party
have that
frat
vibe.
boy, bro Thor. He's pretty close to that vibe. Hey, Paul, we're still going for a little bit. No worries. Mm-hmm. We still have to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Melanie and I went and saw that. It was a toss-up between that and Nope, which just came out, and Nope's supposed to also be good.
Mm-hmm. With Panera. Yeah.
But Melanie really wanted to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's also kind of like it had already done its run, and then like was brought back in for another run. So, yeah, let's do that. What'd you think of that, Melanie? Because Melanie was super excited for that one.
Mm-hmm. It was great. I loved it.
I gave it 5 stars. I will say, like, it's one of those movies where it's got such good reviews, inevitably there's going to be a lot of people who are, like, push back against it because people are so, like, praising it. And I will say, it's not like the perfect movie. It's not like the ultimate movie of all time. And if if you'd really like followed the hype train, okay, maybe it might be a little disappointing. But I don't know, man. It was kind of like, it was what I would have wanted out of it.
This won't have the Avatar / Inception thing where it's like we're just in awe of its brilliance for a while, and then we think about it for a couple of years, and we're like, that movie was dumb.
Oh no, it knows it's dumb sometimes.
Oh.
It's fully embraces it. It's
dog
pretty
fingers.
wacky. What?
I said hot dog fingers. I mean,
There's a universe of people with hot dog fingers. And that got one of the biggest laughs out of me, not because of the hot dog fingers, but because I don't even want to spoil it. They justify the hot dog fingers. I'm like, why? Why did you even bother? Like, you're pretty wacky. Like,
they took time.
why, yes, like
Yeah.
this is a whole like little. I mean, it's kind of a quick cutaway, but like this whole little thing that justifies like why hot dog fingers universe exists, and it's like that's so unnecessary. It's great. I like the villain.
mm-hmm.
I like
love
the
the
villain
villain.
a lot.
I love the villain. I love the way they describe stuff. Like it, we all are just like a thing in superposition. So it's just great. The whole thing was great. It almost made me feel weepy even at a point because, relationships with your family and stuff.
That's the thing. Like it's got the like ridiculous. I don't want to say Marvel like superpowered thing, but it's like ridiculous superpower to like weird extreme with action sequences. It's super high energy, but at the same time, so it'll bounce between like that and like a mother-daughter argument, and that's like the climax of the movie is like family drama with like superpower fight. It's super weird in that respect. It's also like conceptually like smart, but at the same time, there's a fight with there's like a martial arts fight between 3 people and 2 of them have butt plugs in, and it's weird, gross.
Only one's a butt plug. The other one is like a trophy or something.
Right. It's in their butt. And during a martial arts fight, the whole time you can see it's just like, dang, it's so gross. So like this is that movie. It's like smart and stupid at the same time. It's wacky.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
But that's so realistic because, like, look at that thing I made you read earlier with the physicist that got an orange stuck in his mouth. Smart people are dumb and they do dumb stuff, and we have to accept that as reality.
And I really like the premise and how it works. Like it lends, they kind of build in like just the goofy wackiness just like into the premise itself, and it's like, okay, I'm on board. That's pretty cool. And it's a fun premise where you're like, man, there's so much more they could do with it. Not that it doesn't feel like they didn't do enough, but there's so much more you could do with it. But at the same time, it's like, this is not the kind of movie that needs a sequel. Like I don't see that happening.
Mm-mm.
It's a one-off, but like the premise is strong enough that like, man, I'd love to see more of that explored.
It could be the next Sliders.
And Melanie had said something before we went, and I think you kind of nailed it. You said something about it having like, or at least the trailer having like a Legion vibe.
Yeah.
And it totally does in a way.
That was why I was so excited to see it, because of that. Because I was like, oh, I've got like I'm going to be like 45 minutes in, and I'm going to be like, what is this? What am I watching? And then it'll be like, oh, we're almost over. Okay, title card.
I mean, there's a character that like, it takes the, okay. It takes the, so think of like Thanos, when he has the glove and can like, or the reality stone or whatever, and can do anything, or Scarlet Witch, like they played on it just a little bit. It's got a character that has powers like that, where it's just like realities, they just do whatever, and it doesn't feel like they didn't use it enough. Like Scarlet Witch, like okay, she did some weird reality bending thing once in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but that's it. Or like Thanos is like, Thanos should be able to like just do weird crazy stuff all the time, and he's just like, nope, snap, and that's it. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, Doom Patrol season 1 has that, like the big bad from season 1 is like super meta, like the narrator, but also the big bad. And not that this gets super meta necessarily, but I don't know, just the idea of a character who can really kind of manipulate things in any way. That's always fun, and
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it was wasted here. Sometimes it feels like it's wasted when they do stuff because those are potentially too strong of characters.
But you
Also,
kind of wanted
Michelle,
this.
sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No,
I
I
was
don't
gonna
wanna-
say, but you kind of want. You want the character to be able to do anything, otherwise the threat doesn't seem real in this type of a movie. I mean, with the abilities that they have.
and Michelle Yeoh, lead character, gets to do lots of stuff. Gets to do the martial arts stuff that you probably know her for, but also is like, at its core, this is a movie about family. But gets to do, like the Fast and
Deadpool,
Furious,
or
like Fast and the Furious.
Fast
It's all
and
about
Furious,
family.
okay.
No, so gets to of course do drama stuff. Man, it makes me nervous though. Like it starts off and it's just like their house where they live. It's just full of stuff everywhere, and it's like go go go, and she's like nervous energy. It just makes the movie makes me nervous. But it's high energy.
You if you would be her and you would be freaking out, and probably zoning out too. You would be her, I think, in if we were in that scenario.
I don't know. I recommend it, Jesse. I think you'll like it a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, and for the listeners and viewers, reminder that puts this movie on par with Pulp Fiction for Randy. Randy doesn't just give out 5 stars.
No, that's true. I was looking through my recent Letterboxd movie ratings, and a lot of them, I've been skewing kind of high on my star ratings for a lot of stuff, including a few 5 stars for movies this year. But yeah, I mean, I don't usually go full 5 unless 5 is I love it. Otherwise, anywhere between 3 and 4.5 is a solid movie for the most part.
Right.
I think the Batman got a 5 out of me this year.
Oh right, that was a good movie.
There've been a
There are
couple
people
really good ones.
crapping on that too, but it was a good movie.
People are gonna crap on everything. There's, it doesn't matter what it is. Somebody's gonna find something wrong with it.
Right, including us.
Yeah. I will say it was still, even though I loved it, it was easy to predict who the bad guy was, what the outcome was going to be. But even knowing all that kind of early on, or I guess guessing, I didn't know, but guessing that all early on, it was great.
Oh, Dune also got a 5-star for me. That wasn't a this
Oh,
year
yeah.
movie. That was last year, but I watched it this year.
Well, Dune is awesome.
And Candyman towards the end of last year, which is still a surprise to me. But anyway,
I think it's Jesse's turn to talk. He needs to talk about.
Well, that's news to me. What? You know who delivers the news? Paper Girls do.
yes, thank you.
And yeah, so that's a show that's on Amazon Prime or Prime Video or whatever they're calling themselves this week. And yeah, it's great. We reviewed it way back when. I couldn't tell you what episode. Back when we were given episodes numbers, and we did a little thing we like to call the poll list. And I'm pretty sure that Maddie D made sure that we had to read Paper Girls, and I'm glad he did, because who knew that in the year 2022 they would be making a show out of a little thing that Brian K. Vaughan wrote, not Saga, called Paper Girls, and it's a delight. It's like, what if you took Stranger Things and Loki season 1 and mashed them up, and yeah, but make all the leads girls in the best possible way, and they're all like different kinds of girls, because you got your like kind of well-to-do girl, and then you got your like studious girl, and then you got your responsible girl. I don't know, but like they're all from different walks of life, and then you got the bad boy girl, the bad girl. I don't know.
The bad boy girl.
the bad boy girl. Yeah, but they're all like super well cast, and then they're thrown into this bonkers time travel story, which again has almost like the TVA kind of situation where there is a bureau of people who are trying to make sure that the timeline doesn't change, but that's because the timeline favors them. So it's got like a TVA kind of bent, but almost a little more like socio-political, where it's like, no, the future turned out really well for us, so we can't let anything change, even though the future is awful.
But I mean, anytime somebody tried to set the timeline, that would be the case. It would be, this worked out really, really well in my opinion, so this is what we're doing. You know?
Right.
I don't remember all of Paper Girls. I do remember liking it a lot. And then we stopped, and then we were done. And I was like, oh, well, we need to read more. And then I never did.
Right.
So I feel bad about it.
I went a little further, but like I was telling you guys in the chat, which is off camera stuff. Basically, the first episode covers everything we had to read for the show when we do, because we used to do like a volume of it or whatever, right. And like the way that the storytelling is parsed out for the comics, it's much more world building. It spends a lot more time in 1980 whatever in the 80s, and like. It's just like boom, 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 boom. You get a little bit of establishing, and then they're in 2019, just like that. Like all of a sudden they're in the time capsule. They don't even find the time capsule. It's just like almost like a montage of events, and it's like boom, here we are, and we're kind of figuring it out as we go, and it's bonkers. Like I knew it was bonkers before I started. I was like, they made this into a show. Right. I gotta watch this. Like, are they gonna be true to the source material? And so far, they're pretty good. Pretty good, close to the source material.
Are there aliens and weird old people?
Yeah. So I mean, like they haven't gotten that far down the rabbit hole yet. Like that's the one thing where it's like, okay, some of this stuff they're pulling an Invincible on it, where it's like some things are super sped up and other things are kind of held back. Right. And so that's kind of what they're doing with this too. Is it's like some of that stuff is there, but they haven't really shown us that. Whereas they kind of show us their hand in the comic right away.
Right. Yeah, I was surprised by the trailer. That the trailer really leaned heavy into like the time jump thing. Yeah. And back on Grawlix podcast episode 61, something that people like is the title of that episode. We read the
He writes things that people like. It's weird.
The first volume, like the time jump was the cliffhanger, like out of nowhere twist at the end of the first volume. It's like, wait, what? And that's where we left off. And I liked the series, but I hadn't ever gone back to pick up the other volumes.
There's stuff that we love that we never finished. So there you go. I mean, not that I didn't like. I liked Paper Girls, what we read, but. There's a lot of stuff we like.
Well, like Saga, I didn't get a whole lot further into Saga, and I love Saga. It was great.
Yeah, it is great.
Speaking of Brian K. Vaughan,
that's how it goes with comics sometimes. I mean, TV shows and stuff too, but like, especially comics,
they just like cost so much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah.
You're right. When I was really not long ago, I was like, man, I need to get back into comics. What's a good way to start collecting them again? At this point, like, and this is probably wouldn't be a great deal. Ooh, what's this? The Last Ronin.
Ooh.
Cool.
The Last Ronin.
That's a nice cover. Oh. You're muted.
That's how I buy comics now if I'm going to buy physical.
Right.
You're a trade waiter.
Yep.
But then doesn't that make it hard for them to know what people actually like? That's my concern. Is if you wait for that, then somebody that could have done something great, doesn't get enough funds, and then they get dropped or something, you know?
I think I agree with you, and I think that that's how it started, you know. But like now with stuff like this, it's so like trade waiting is so established now that they just
Right.
know that people are doing it. People
Which is
like
good.
me. I was
That's
like,
good business. Like they'll kind of
Uh-huh.
adopt the business model to accommodate for that. Because I remember that being a concern back in the day.
because that is the only way to buy that book. It's not just that it's a nice book. That is the way that you can buy it. I don't think that
Right.
there is like a paper bound one. And if there is, it's like the exact same price. So why wouldn't you get the nice one?
Right.
Well, and in terms of ongoing series, it would be smart if companies like basically just assumed, rather than like issue to issue, like you're signed for a block or whatever, or we're committed to a block, so we can get the trade out, and then we'll see how it goes, or something
Right.
like that. That'd be a smart way to do things.
Where it does stink is for these smaller companies, more like the Image type companies,
Which
where
is
it's
where all the
yeah.
good stuff is anyway.
I know. That's where Paper Girls, I'm pretty sure, was an Image book. I know that Saga is an Image book. So, but then it's like like the Paper Girls TV rights. Those are the creators, I believe.
Oh, right,
Like
yeah,
that's
because-
kind of the
Right.
system that so they make all their money off of the books. So they're not going to make trades out of stuff that isn't going to sell.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. For the most part, Image and those others, like creator owned, right? Creator owned properties,
Right.
which is generally they might not have the money backing of like the big two, but
Or even
Generally.
IDW, who has all the retro properties.
generally a better deal for the creators.
I think maybe they just need to push web comics more, or not just, I don't know if I mean, well, yeah, I guess web comics. Look at it online, and then if you like it, then you buy the book. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, you can. I was gonna say, I know this is probably a way worse deal for creators, so I don't know if I'd. And I hate everything going to a subscription model to where technically you don't own anything ever. That's
Right.
pretty
Right.
much movies and TV and video games and about everything. But
All
I
at
was
once.
looking for like a good. I was like, man, I want a subscription. I'll pay whatever per month just so I can read a bunch of comics and stay kind of current on certain things.
Sure.
Because trying to track them down digitally, and I'm not near a comic store anymore. Plus, man, that's too expensive. It's too
It is too
expensive.
expensive.
Like I can't.
Yeah.
It became so hard to justify it after I was like, what am I doing? How much do I owe this comic store? No, I can't do this anymore.
Especially considering half of them we never touch. We put them in a bag. We put them in a box. We put the box in a stack. You know, it's just.
Right. If I really want to read it, I'll find it online, and I'll put the book in a box.
Right. And how many of those do you reread? Like most of the time. I mean, I just did a TikTok on it, and it was a Seinfeld quote. And it's like, why do we have so many books? Did you read it already? Like, okay. Yeah.
I have that problem with real books though too, because
Right.
man, my storage, like, I want to say like a quarter of everything that I have stored is books, and I need to get over it, and I need to get rid of some of them. But they're so good, and I do reread them. You know,
Right.
it's a pain in my butt.
Oh, I think how we kind of got on this tangent was like with Paper Girls and stuff like that.
Yes.
And especially doing Grawlix, like when we would talk about comics on the regular, it was easy to like. It's like, well, what do we got to read for next month? Are there other things I'm currently reading? You know, it was easy to like, okay, I'll read a volume of this. Oh man, this is great, and then move on and never go back to it. Because
You know what was really great about all that? All the books I could find at Humble Bundle.
You're
Yes.
right. I wonder if Humble Bundle has any good bundles going currently.
They have so many bundles going currently.
Yeah.
But if you're going to check out a Humble Bundle, you know, there's an easy way to get there and to support this show. If you go to grawlixpodcast.com/humble, you are using our affiliate link, and that will kick us a little bit of fundage. And there's, man, I just looked through the list today, and some of them are ending soon. So if you're listening to this and you're interested, you should check it out soon. But there's Image books. There's the Dreadlip one is I call it the Dreadlip one, but it's like Judge Dredd. That one was still going last I checked. I can't. I think the Boys and the Girls one is done, but there's a couple other ones too.
Let's see. There's Image Comics 30th anniversary of the 2000s. I see some Walking Dead. I mean, at this point, like classic Image.
Invincible.
Yeah. There is a 30th anniversary, the 90s Image Comics.
Oh man.
Spawn. There's a Judge Dredd still going for 6 days. Star Trek Adventures. Oh, there is a Doctor Who audio drama, Big Finish.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of answers my question. I was gonna say, do they do? I didn't know if Humble Bundle did audio. Story. Okay.
Yeah, I've bought a couple Humble Bundles just because it's cheaper than buying them, from Big Finish at a certain point.
Speaking of Doctor Who and Humble Bundles, I did buy the Doctor Who.
Oh, you got it.
I did. And I downloaded all of them, and I kind of hate Humbles, not to complain. You got to download each one individually. There were 56 freaking books in there.
Yeah. It is pretty bad. It's
Dude,
pretty
it
bad.
took forever.
Baby, it didn't take nearly as long as downloading all of Doctor Who, which you also did.
I almost did twice, but we don't talk about that.
That took like days, didn't it? Jeez.
We don't talk about that. Well, the problem is you can hit like download all, but like I don't know if it's a Chrome issue or what, but Chrome doesn't, and I don't blame it, want to pop up 56 separate things. It'll pop up like 6 in a row and then just stop. So then I'm like, where did it stop? So I have to like wait till all that downloaded, hit download all again, and if it popped up, because if you try to save the same file in a folder where it exists, it'll add a 1. Nope, can't skip that one. Skip that one. Okay, download that one. Download.
Do they still use the torrent system too? But who uses torrents?
There is a torrent system, I noticed, but it's similarly like, I think individual copies of each. Like so, it'd be a torrent
really?
for each.
So the torrent isn't even any better because a torrent should have all those in one, right? That would be the theory.
Man, just give me a download. I don't care if it was like 10, 20 gigs, and that was not the zipped CBZ files, not even like the because you can get most of them in PDFs too, which were much larger. It was still like 10 to 20 gigs. So, but give me that 10 to 20 gig download. God dang it! Don't make me do each book.
I need more Capaldi.
Stealing digital stuff got so difficult a long time ago, so I am just good now.
I just don't need
right.
It's that meme of like with all the subscription services where at first it's like, oh, torrents, and then like Netflix is around and like, oh, we don't need torrents anymore, and now it's like 5 streaming services and torrents are creeping back in because I feel like Spotify killed music torrents. I mean, honestly, most things are on sale often enough that if you're patient, you get most things pretty cheap. But I did read a couple. I read a Ninth Doctor story that had 9 Rose and Captain Jack, and I enjoyed it. Their Ninth Doctor is, I guess on point, but like
he'd be a hard one to write for because
he raged out a lot.
Oh,
and it's like, what are you? Whoa! And of course, all the characters like Rose and Captain Jack are like, "Oh, what are you doing? Stop doing this!" And he's like, just raging out, yelling, causing a scene, causing a ruckus. And then, of course, at the end, not the end, but then, of course, like, he's like gets zapped or something. Like, oh no, the Doctor's dead. Whatever cliffhanger between issues. And then he pops up, and he was just teleported somewhere, and he's like, "That's why I caused the ruckus. I knew there was something going on behind here." And blah blah blah, does his Doctor thing, but like I don't know. Yeah, the way they wrote 9 was pretty interesting. And
was
I
he
also
angry?
read what?
Was he angry?
Yeah, no, he seemed angry.
Okay, good.
But appropriately angry, and then like it turned out, he was fine. Then he'd be like, and then he was fine, and it's like he acted like he was feigning the anger. But that also seems appropriate. Because he seemed like to me, he was.
Yeah,
always,
9 always felt like
he's
he
wearing
was.
masks. Yeah.
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 Um,
He was like 4, only not as good as 4. With his
Captain Jack
bipolarness.
was.
Right.
Captain Jack and Rose was written okay. I feel like Rose maybe it's not as. I mean, you can't. Doctors are usually much more defined personalities. Somebody like Captain Jack is a very defined personality.
Right.
I feel like those are easier to nail. And Rose is
Are
like.
you saying chicks aren't defined personalities, Randy?
No.
Goodness.
Although. Define the 13th.
Ooh.
I'm kidding.
Too soon, sir.
You can define her at this point. It's just bland.
I'm so mad at what's his name, Mickey. I'm so mad at Mickey that he ruined everything. So now we can't have Captain Jack.
That's a whole debate. Some people would say, well, I mean,
They're wrong. Okay, that's all.
Right. I have things I want to say, but I won't. Listen, everybody knows what John Broman was like, okay? That's all I'm saying. And I know that's not a right argument. That doesn't make it okay.
Right.
But I feel like he wasn't hiding anything.
No, he said terrible things. I mean, like, yeah,
Right.
he's always been problematic.
Exactly.
That's
And I
kind of
know
his thing, being problematic. Not
doesn't-
okay. Just, yeah.
It doesn't make it okay. But it's kind of like, are you surprised, though?
Yeah. It's like
Listen.
the scorpion that rides on the back of the turtle.
I don't know how the Mickey stuff panned out, but, like, if true, that just seems so much worse to me, his deal. Broman seemed like a problem, but not malicious.
Right.
Yeah.
And that just seems different than malicious.
Yeah. We're not talking Joss Whedon here. We're talking
Right.
Barrowman. I don't know.
Right. Anyway, I also read, of course, I had to read some Capaldi, and I'm even forgetting that story already. I remember more of the 9 story. It's interesting. I'm forgetting the Capaldi story, but I feel like the characters were a little bit, or at least not the character, the dialogue was a little bit better written versus the 9 story I read. But I remember the story. Of
Probably
the 9.
easier to get because it's so much more recent. Like, you'd have to just be
Right.
really immersed. And again, Eccleston is so hard to, like, do prose wise, like just to
Right.
write him.
Right, and there's less. I mean, we only had the 1 season of him in show form anyway, and I don't think. Yeah, I don't think the audio dramas were going on when those comics were being written. And Capaldi, they kind of. I feel like it leaned into. A little bit more the alien Capaldi, the earlier Capaldi.
Oh yeah, I was
And
just going to ask
that's
who's
good.
the companion, because that will.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's got to be Clara.
It's got to be Clara if it's early.
I think so. I think it was. It was. It definitely was. But yeah, so I had forgotten I own. That's the problem with Humble Bundle. I forgot I own those till we started talking about it again. I was like, oh yeah, and I read a couple of them.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's
There were a few
amazing.
times- Oh my goodness! Wow.
Right. You're on point. What's amazing? I'm feeling like I need some amazement in my life.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing?
Hit me.
Organ X. Organ X is based on the design of Brain X, which we actually talked about on the show once before, where they used it to revive the brains of pigs that had been dead for a little while. So it's basically just a machine that connects to the circulatory system, and then it pulses in a fluid that's oxygenated. But we have stuff like that already, but the things that this one does differently is that it adds some drugs that aid circulation and prevent clotting, and then it has extra sensors that check circulatory, metabolism, hemoglobin, pressure, flow, stuff like that. But anyway, so they tested it. on 100 pigs immediately after death, 1 hour after death, and 7 hours after death. And they kept them at room temperature the whole time. And the cells continued to process fuel and generate waste. And it outperformed all of our current methods of organ preservation. And even some of the signs were showing signs of repairing themselves. So, super cool. But even though brain death persisted, there was like movement. Like they started moving. Like mostly the neck and head. And they don't really know why that happened, and it didn't happen in any of the control animals or the ones that are still alive but just sedated. So they're going to have to do some more research on what's going on there. But it's super promising for keeping organs healthy for organ transplantation. That's the main thing. That's what it's for, so that they could keep the organs alive and keep them from deteriorating, so they could ship them way farther and keep them good long enough to get them, like on the other side of the globe if they needed to, perhaps. Which would be amazing, because a lot of times if there's not somebody nearby that needs an organ, they can't use it anyway, because the cells deteriorate so quickly that they just have to end up tossing it, and that sucks. A lot of people that could live won't. But if this works, then that's kind of amazing. So yeah, so they're gonna keep working on that, and maybe soon it'll be oh yeah, look, pigs. Don't make me feel bad about it, man. It already makes me think of, what is that? The one that I always say wrong. It's like Butcher, Hell's Butcher, or Heaven's Butcher, or something like that. You know that one?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oink. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you want zombie pigs? Because this is how you get zombie pigs.
I was going to say the hogging death.
This is how you get zombie pigs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know why they like to mess with pigs. Why do they? I mean, because last time, like I said, when we did the Brainiac story, they were using pigs too. So I don't know.
And isn't swine flu a thing? Like, do we really want to make super swine flu?
Well, I mean, I think it's the whole things of like pigs are kind of close to us, right?
Their circulatory system is, so yeah. I suppose they would probably be the next best thing to a human.
There was even that one guy who lived for, I don't know, not quite a month with a pig heart.
Oh, right.
Uh-huh.
Why are these zombies?
Because they're smiling.
But they're so cute. Those ones don't look mean.
They're like the transmetropolitan zombies. Like, they're just watching the ads. Never watch the ads.
I feel like these are pigs reacting to zombies. Maybe they're a little zombie.
Man, when I used to occasionally go stay at a farm when I was little in the summers, and those people. I mean, I love people. Thank you for letting me come and stay at your farm. But they were like, "Oh, don't go alone in the pig thing. If you fall, they might eat you." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Terrified.
Yep.
I was terrified.
Yeah, I'm done with pigs.
I used to have 3 cousins.
Yeah, but it's true. If you like have a heart attack or something in the middle of some pigs, they will eat you. So
Sure.
be careful.
They're not picky.
I'm done.
Dolly on the fly visual aid.
Yeah,
generation.
look at that.
I like
Look at that.
That's fun.
Fast.
Paul says pigs are mean. He grew up on a pig farm. Yeah, they are.
It can be, yeah.
Yep.
That had
Don't mess with
reminded me
them.
of something. Pigs.
Nicholas
Resident
Cage.
Evil. Zombies. I don't remember how far we're into it, but we've been slowly, occasionally watching an episode here and there of Resident Evil. It's kind of bad, but kind of good.
I mean, isn't that kind of their thing?
It is. I feel like it's in like production and kind of plot for the most part. I feel like it's better quality than the writing of most of the movies. Like, I think it's a pretty decent like idea. But then occasionally, like the episode we watched most recently, the main character just did the stupidest thing. And
Gosh, the dumbest.
it's
So dumb.
so stupid. Where it's like, how is this character still alive if this is
Right.
the decisions she makes?
Yeah.
And then it panned out like it was a very predictable, like, how things played out. It's like, yeah, no, seen that coming, knew that character was gonna die.
And
Like,
in fact, it was like episodes before even you were like, oh, she's gonna die.
yeah, it's like,
like-
why do we? Who's this character we just now met, and now like, oh, spoilers. But then again, you'll probably see it coming yourself. This character we've never seen before, we just met. Now we know she's pregnant. She's gonna have a baby, and she's happy. It's like, well, she's gonna die.
Yep.
So that said,
Never be happy,
Never.
especially in a zombie world.
Paul says they can't please fans. Fans have written so much headcanon that no Resident Evil property will ever measure up. See, and that's the thing, though. I don't have that going on. And for the most part, I'm enjoying it. It's just, occasionally, it's kind of dumb. Their character's kind of dumb. But I'm enjoying this more than any of the sequels to the movies. Those, I felt, were real bad most of the time. And that's about it. As far as the games, I played like maybe the first 3 back in the day on like the PlayStation era, but I was never like that invested in.
I never played.
The
I don't
stories.
think I can play zombie games. I can't play scary games because I freak out at jump scares. Get me every time. I scream at Minecraft. You know, I'm not going to be able
Right.
to handle Resident Evil. So
Not even the zombies in Minecraft, or the creepers. I should
No, it's
say.
the cows.
Or the zombies.
The
Yeah,
cows.
The cows.
Yeah,
Because occasionally a cow will fall on your head during the middle of the day.
yeah.
Give
I
your
mean,
boyfriend a heart attack almost.
yeah, well, you deserved it because you snuck up on me and scared the crap out of me.
That was
So
an
you-
unrelated thing, and I felt terrible instantly. I scared her once because she was working overnights, and so during the day she'd nap, and I was working at Napa, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I came home on my lunch break, and it was around the time her alarm was going off for her to get up for the day or whatever. And I heard the alarm go off, so I walked in there, and she like happened to like still be kind of asleep, but she was up turning the alarm off, and she didn't know I was there. And she turned around, and apparently seen big scary man boots as he was looking down, and she screamed, and I felt it was horrible.
I screamed and I
was a
backed up
terror.
and I fell over.
It was
oh God.
She had terror, and that was a thing. I felt bad. So
Yeah.
I try to
Yeah.
announce myself. Melanie, it's me, your boyfriend, who's not a big scary man boot guy.
Yeah.
Man
Yeah.
boot guy.
Well, I mean, if you weren't expecting anyone and you saw like that, like it
Yeah,
was
oh,
just
yeah.
the boots, just part of something a person that you know wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
That's freaking terrifying.
Well, and you think like Michael Myers wears boots, Jason wears boots, right? Like boots are a slasher murderer thing, right?
Yeah. Well, even if they're not, it's somebody that's obviously much larger than me, standing in my bedroom, and I'm in my ruse and a t-shirt. You know, this is not a good situation to be in if it wasn't my boyfriend.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
President Evil. Every
Whoa.
I feel
They
like
need to
we.
make-
I think we saw 4 years of that movie.
That's crazy.
the show was good until it got political.
Oh man,
Get woke, go broke. That's too bad. That
you got to make money first.
get woke, go broke. Every time I see that I'm so glad they use that in YouTube video titles, because every time I see it, I'm like, yep, keep scrolling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that a thing though? Do people that have gotten woke go broke? Because it doesn't seem like they do.
No,
Generally not, because you know what? Angry white guys of YouTube and I don't know, Twitter and wherever else, they wouldn't keep making that stuff if it didn't make money. So
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I know
They
people
made
like
5
to believe.
seasons of She-Ra. Like they didn't stop because they weren't making money. They had enough money to make 5 seasons.
They don't care
Right.
about money. It's the agenda. I'm sorry. No, listen,
Money is the agenda.
the Umbrella Company Corporation, I know there's some evil corporations, but like it doesn't exist. They're not just like here to be evil. or come up with weird agendas, they have to make money first.
Yeah, so they can fund their academy.
They legally have to do all they can do. If they're like publicly traded, they legally have to do everything they can do to make the most money possible. And if that didn't make them the most money possible, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Big corporations suck. I know we're going long. Speaking of weird corporation stuff, I didn't even realize there was a Batgirl movie happening, but apparently it was mostly done. It had cost them at least $90 million. They were doing test screenings, and now it's scrapped.
I saw like behind the scenes footage of Brendan Fraser walking out of a burning building because he's playing Firebug or something in that movie. Like I was already seeing leaked like moments or whatever, and wow.
Michael Keaton was back as Batman.
Yeah.
I otherwise like. I was like, Batgirl movie, okay.
Do you think this is like a Deadpool play where it's like, oh, somebody leaked the test footage of Deadpool so that it would get made? Like, are they I don't know. I don't understand it.
Well, I know it's all because of like AT&T sold Warner Brothers to Discovery or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's part of that merger. And the little bit I read about it, released the 4 mil Batgirl movie. The little bit I read about it, basically they're like, it's probably because of taxes. Releasing it would have cost them a bunch. It's like, you've already paid
like they would have
movie, though.
So if they release it, then they make if they make money off of it. So like they could take a loss on this, but it doesn't make any sense to just cancel it outright. Why wouldn't you just push it into the future? Because then you would you would deduct all of your expenditures on that film, and then you'd make your money in the next fiscal year if that was the big worry. But canceling it entirely, that doesn't make any sense.
And I would assume if they were, I would assume it'd be like they're not even gonna like dump it on HBO Max or anything. I also was reading something about apparently earlier in the week there was concern over like HBO Max itself existing and whether like people were concerned that it was just gonna like revert to just be HBO again and like I don't know.
Oh wow.
Well, which it should be because Cinemax was crap. The only people who liked Cinemax were teenage boys.
We talked about this though. Like they did HBO Max for the name recognition. Otherwise, it'd be what WB Plus. But there was apparently an investor call or something this week, and they had HBO Max like branding on all kinds of stuff. So they're like people don't think they're going to do anything. Like HBO Max isn't going to go away, but there is like a Discovery Plus because so original.
That's been out for a while. I don't even know what's on it. Yeah.
Well, they're gonna. It seems like those are still gonna be two separate things. I don't know. They're gonna end up messing with things. There's gonna be like an ad-supported version of HBO Max and a ad-light version and a.
I mean, the documentaries on HBO Max are probably better than anything they've got on Discovery Plus. So, I mean, I can see like not muddying the brand a little bit in terms of what the originals kind of look like, but like they should almost like offer it as a collection, just like they do with the other stuff, like the Adult Swim stuff and all of that they also offer.
Apparently, some of the HBO Max original series recently were taken off of the service, which is weird because like if they're HBO Max original series, it's not like a movie that's going to get licensed out to another streaming service, most likely.
Right.
I don't know.
But that's an HBO thing. They're like Disney. Well, they'll release something, and then they'll be like, okay, now I'm going to put it in a vault for 10 years so that it drives up the price, and then I'll release it again. That's the kind of stuff that HBO and other places have done in the past. I can see them doing it again.
The kind of frustrating thing is, and I don't know if I'd necessarily agree, but like the general consensus that I keep seeing from people is that HBO Max is like the best streaming service, and
it's pretty good.
I think it is good. I feel like it doesn't have the same variety as like a Netflix or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
The good shows that it has are great,
Right.
but it only has like 3 good shows, and the rest of it's crap. That's the problem with HBO. They have a couple shows that are amazing, and everything else is trash. And with Netflix, most of it's trash, but there's enough of it that's more than mediocre that it kind of equals out, you know?
Right.
Man, I remember nobody's gonna do this. I don't want to do this, but you could go through the history of Grawlix and just like chart the like public opinion of streaming and streaming services and cable and stuff like that by like how we've talked about it over the years. Because we were watching an old, maybe if I already said this on the show, let me know. We were watching like some old South Parks. It was interesting because we bounced from newer South Park, like the Streaming Wars, Paramount Plus or whatever special.
Yeah.
Where it's all talking about like, you know, all the different, too many streaming services, which is like the general consensus now. People complain about streaming like they used to complain about cable. And then we had jumped back further enough where there was an episode complaining of South Park making fun of like how cable companies just totally screw you. And like there's the whole like creepy nipple rub. They're like, oh, you have a problem with your cable? And they start rubbing their, tell us about it because there's no one else that you can go to. So, you know, just like,
right.
Whatever. So, yeah, I don't know.
Weird Hellraiser vibes. Ew.
Right. That enjoy.
Enjoy the
don't have any other
pain.
options. Yeah, what were we just talking about?
Well, I mean,
Sorry,
this was all the
sorry.
HBO stuff, but like Paul
Right.
brought up the CW, and they're ending The Flash. But they're not just ending it like with the full season. They're ending it with like an abbreviated season, like an 8-episode mini season or something. It's like, that does not feel like the way you end a show that's gone almost 10 years.
But they're like, Ezra Miller, oh no.
What?
Oh yeah, and that is the other thing. It was like, well, I saw an infographic. It was like the Ezra Miller Flash show was announced that it was going to happen when they premiered the Flash TV show, and
Right.
the TV show itself will end right before the Flash actually happens.
You're right. They did announce the Flash movie when the new Flash started, when the CW Flash started, and people are like, "Oh man, that's a bad move."
It's going to be that's going to be confusing. Well, not if it doesn't happen for 9 years.
Last I read, the Flash movie is still happening. I think that is a case where they have way too much money invested in it to like just
Right.
scrap it. And I've seen an article not long ago because Ezra Miller, speaking of problematic characters, like they're like, nah, we're still going forward with the movie. Like we can't. It'd be too much to like. It costs too much money. We're not replacing him. That's insane. But we're doing it anyway. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, Paul says it's political. There is, especially with the DC properties, like the Discovery merger threw a wrench into a bunch of stuff. People were concerned about season 2 of Peacemaker, but James Gunn recently said, "Don't worry, Peacemaker's fine." Mel and I have been watching new season of Harley Quinn. Man, Harley Quinn's great. If you haven't
Yeah.
jumped on that train yet, you got to. It's a lot of fun.
I love the homemaker Joker too. You know what I mean? He's fantastic. Joker helping some kid with his homework. That's so much fun.
Right, but he's still the Joker, so he gets mad and throws the laptop at the wall. It's just a good show. Also,
It's
they've
great.
been riffing hard on the whole like superheroes don't do that thing. The like
Oh
Batman
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
where they had a couple characters that were doing that, but they weren't actual characters. They were porn star versions of those characters. And then there's a cut to like, at one point there's a cut to Batman and Catwoman, and he's like down like licking at her feet, and he's like, "Oh, should I keep going?" And she's like, "Nah, don't even bother." And I'm like, that's gotta be about that
Yeah.
whole thing. So
Yeah.
it's a fun show like that. It gets meta once in a while. It's a dirty show though. It's dirty. There was an orgy scene in this last one, and I was like, wow. The DC cartoons, man. Their version of Bane is so good though, and their version of, is it King Shark?
Oh yeah.
Is great. Their version of Gordon is weird and bumbling and kind of shady. Is like super strange takes on characters.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to go. I have to get to work. And Paul, what you said about the company, the conservative company, is that true? I don't know. That's interesting. Discovery Plus? Is that like the Discovery Channel?
I think so. Yeah.
At once
Don't
upon a
they have,
time, at
like,
least.
Weird shows. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it used to be good. I don't know. That's where Shark Week
interesting.
came from.
I'll look up for future viewers. Here's what I'm talking about. I'll look into that myself. I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, we don't need to. Paul will send us the info.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Thanks everybody
Paul.
for watching. What?
I just said thanks, Paul.
Oh, Jesse, what else you got?
Well,
What's
I mean,
this?
I don't have anything, but the Grawlix podcast is a proud contributor to the Christopher R. Mim movie, The Day the Earth Abruptly Almost Ended, and we have
Such a good title.
his titles are always the best.
Yeah.
At this point now, we have funded since Danny Johnson Saves the World. We have funded about half. Because the dude makes at least one movie a year,
Right.
and sometimes he's even made 2 movies a year. So if you count the holiday Christmas special, we have funded half of the movies he's made now. We're at that tipping point. Yeah.
As one contributor of many, not like we're footing half the bill.
No.
We own this. As soon as we get 51% of the stakes, we're taking it over.
That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
We're not even associate producers at this point. You know, they just we literally are like buying a credit in the movie, but it does help to get the.
But, like,
I mean, like
half of-
he's independent, so like we are helping to fund the movie. So.
Grawlixpodcast.com can be seen in half of that dude's filmography.
Yeah,
credits.
yeah. You watch the credits. We're amongst many, but we're there. It's always cool to see.
I love it. Yeah, that's great.
Yep. And if you haven't seen any, you should go watch them.
You
And
should.
if you are an aspiring filmmaker, you especially should, because you don't have to have a studio to make something cool. That's all I
I
got.
love that he's still rocking that too. Like he's like,
Yeah.
this is my thing, and I'm gonna do it.
Even through the pandemic, like these movies, he did like a series of 3 or 4 of these movies. They're the Phantom Lake Kids and because it was the pandemic and you couldn't just have anybody over at your house, or you're creating a super spreader event. Then he created these movies with his kids. So just kept it really tight knit group. It was cool.
You think he's ever like, I need to make a movie. You're going to act because I can't bring anybody else. Stop crying.
Stop crying.
Yeah, at a certain point.
Bring your
Right.
friends.
It's like that YouTube channel, Convos with My 2-year-old, and it was like 3-year-old, and they had a son, and he was in it. And now it's just Convos with anything because the kids don't want to have anything. They're
Right,
like teens
yeah.
now or whatever. They're like, no, I'm not doing this. Stop telling people about the weird things I say.
Yeah. But
There's no crying in movies, Paul says.
Oh, and a reminder, I believe Christopher R. Mim was, if not our first ever interview on this show, it was like our second.
I think he was the first.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We're not going to look it up, so we're just going to claim it.
It was definitely...
He was the first. I remember it, actually. I was very nervous, and I didn't want to be there. And Randy was he wanted to interview the guy. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go hide in the corner somewhere.
Yeah,
I remember
was
it vividly.
We were at a convention, yeah. Ozfest,
Ozfest, yep.
Yep.
science fiction convention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, everybody. If you want to see or hear more stuff like this, go to grawlixpodcast.com. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That's it. That's all we got.
That's it.
Man, sorry there hasn't been more GCUs yet. I have episodes I still need to release. I'm busy. I'll be honest. Audio only versions of Grawlix, all that is on hold for a little bit. Don't worry. Sometime I'll drop 20 episodes on the feed.
And then you'll be sorry.
Then you'll be sorry.
Be careful what you wish for,
the
guys
show
and
I was-
girls.
The Grawlix podcast. I was subscribed to that.
Oh.
Oh.
Wait, what's up with their feed? Why are they... Wait, these are all new episodes?
And we're talking about movies that released like 2 years ago.
I mean,
Like,
to be fair, we did that
that's all
even
we
when
ever
we
did.
were on time. You know, it was like, oh, hey, what are we reviewing this week? Ghostbusters.
The Westworld series, the Westworld series is concluded, and they're like, and we're like, so we're 3 episodes into season 2. Let's talk about it. Like, yeah, great. This is what I want to listen to.
It's Christmas, so we must be talking about Star Wars. We talked about The Last Jedi like 2 years after it came out.
That's at this point, like, that's other than Mandalorian. That's like how we have to do Star Wars properties.
Right, yeah.
Eventually, we'll talk about what was Han Solo, maybe.
Oh, yeah, we
Maybe
should
we'll
do
talk
that
about
just for fun. It was like, hey, let's talk about, hey, I don't know why everybody got mad about this movie.
When did that come out anyway?
It was like after The Last Jedi, and
2018.
it wasn't even like that they were mad at that movie. They were just like, we're boycotting this movie because of that movie.
2018. It's about time. What was the one before that? The spin-off before that?
Rogue One. Did we not talk about that one?
I know.
I thought we
never
did.
Well,
Oh, we got to talk about that one. That one's good.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Oh, we got it. There you go. Christmas special. Rogue One from how many years ago?
2016.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good movie, too. It's arguably one of the better modern Star Wars movies.
We started watching it, and then Melanie was falling asleep. So I was like, we'll come back to this someday.
Sorry.
And that was only like a year ago. So, we're still on brand.
Yeah, Paul's got it. He's like, we have to talk about Rogue One before Andor comes out, because Andor is about one of the characters in Rogue One, so it's kind of a prequel series, and the trailer looks amazing. You should check out the trailer for Andor. It's the most randy Star Wars thing I've ever seen.
That sounds good. That sounds promising.
Yeah,
I like it when it's Randy.
yeah, right. I always go back to Sylvester McCoy. Was like, Randy, male. Well, they usually are. Because he was reading like my notes. I put it in parentheses just to be like, okay.
Yeah, of course he would like just literally read everything on there.
He did. It was like, I was like, well, I guess I put it there, teed it up for him.
All right.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a fine time.
Yeah.
Yeah. She? Like a Batman, like a Batgirl, see? I don't know why. I don't know why.
Me either. That's okay. Oh, maybe Penguin? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh.
What if the Penguin was in that movie?